All right, so we are ready to get started. Today's episode, I am joined with Natalie. Natalie, go ahead and introduce yourself. Give them your background, what you do, who you are, whatever you feel like sharing.
Well, that's always like an job interview question, like who are you? Who really do we all know who we are? Like
Well, I actually got to ask. I got to actually ask you.
small girl in a big world.
Would you say small girl in a big world?
Yeah, small girl in a big world.
Okay. I actually
I
got to ask you the interview question of tell me about who you are.
Yeah, the most dreaded question, right? Like none of us know who we are.
Yeah, I know, but you know what you need to see. I see that's like the salesman love interviews because that's we sell ourselves, right? So like we're waiting for somebody to ask you like who you are.
I just tell myself.
It's like I
Oh,
am whoever is going to make you believe in hiring me. Right? Like it's like which mask do you want? I just need the job. What do we got to do?
the
So
thing is, like after all the shadow work you do, by the end of it, or like at least if you've done enough work, you're gonna realize how much you're like you figure out like who you are. You're trying to figure out who you are until you end up realizing that you are no self. Like you know that you have to like because I've been through like a lot of shadow work in private. That's why I went MIA for a long time, trying to really figure out who the fuck I am from zodiac sign, Enneagram, life pet number. Like I'm a Heyoka empath. Okay, this is my upbringing. It's like later on you realize that when you get into like the deep dive of the consciousness and stuff, you
so
you're no self. You just are. Like you just are. I just am. But who am I? I think I'm the like at heart. I'm just I have a I'm very passionate. I'm a very passionate person. I I can speak. I have the tendency to like when I'm passionate about something go a little too overboard and I overshare usually.
perfect.
I growing up, my background now, how I came to realize who the hell I am.
Well, what do you where give everybody this one real quick. Where are you geographically now? Because I know you had a really cool like living in different places. And if we had to put you in a bottle, what is like your profession or what are you doing? You right like because I think it's important to know your journey from being a little bit more corporate professional, especially where I got to meet you, and then the girl that's sitting there now, the spirit.
Yeah. Right now, I am so passionate about tarot. So I am a newbie. I am studying, learning tarot, excelling in that skill. Geographically, I'm in the Philippines. I
Oh, you're
am
back in the Philippines.
I'm back in Manila, yeah. So I was born in the Philippines. When I turned 1 year old, I moved to Dubai and I was raised in Dubai for my whole life. And I left when I was 27 and did the whole um, eat, pray, love. I went to Bali and I started like traveling around the world. This is where I started to like pick up all the, you know, Eastern wisdom. And and yeah, now I'm back here in the Philippines.
And where I was gonna say where did I met you? So I met you because we hired you. You were I think my first hire when I
Mm-hmm.
took over as CMO at. So if anybody's watching, you have to if you actually happen to watch. Jason, who was on before myself and Natalie all worked together. Jason was our COO. I was our CMO. And then Natalie was our, what did we have as your, yeah, it was like social media marketing, content manager. You were like, you're like everything I don't know anything about is what you, like I brought you on. That's why I couldn't even introduce you to be like, this is Natalie. She does, I don't know, she did all the shit that I had no idea how to do, but I needed done for the marketing. You know, so what? So where I met you, I think in Bali when we hired you.
No, I was still in Manila, and then I think when I was still on the job, I went to Bali. I don't know. I went everywhere, man. Like,
And then,
I,
so what is it? So is there a technical, like I said, we have to put in your Bali. Is there a technical term for what you were doing versus social media content creator, manager, developer? Because I've also, I followed you on social media. You had some interesting accounts that you've done.
yeah. Well, that's the thing. I'm no longer that. The person you met back then, I
You're not
am
doing
no
that anymore.
I am no longer that person.
Oh, right. Catch me. Also, okay. So all right. So good. So okay.
I was like super masculine back then. I was like,
You were
yeah,
super masculine back when you worked with me.
yeah, I was. I was very analytical, very logical, very
Okay.
like
That's why I liked you.
confident. And then, yeah, and then now doing tarot, it's more of like a feminine kind of thing. It's a feminine activity where you kind of just got to be in trance and just be and just listen to your heart, all the cheesy, crazy stuff.
Well, okay. So take us backwards. So you're doing tarot full time now, like just studying, practicing.
Studying everything. I wouldn't limit it to tarot because I still study like numerology, astrology. I'm big on astrology.
Okay.
Um, the whole spiritual shebang.
Yeah. Okay, so, all right. So I'm gonna catch you up. This might be interesting. I'm gonna catch you up to the Natalie that I mistakenly am holding on to in my head, right? Because I thought you were really sweet and gentle and soft. I didn't take you as masculine, but when you explain more of that divinity masculine to the logic, right, order, you were
Right.
really, you were
I
very,
was I was
very.
proper.
But I mean, that's what was needed for the job, so to speak, right?
Yeah.
You say sometimes, right? Um,
Yeah.
so I interviewed you. You were interested in working with us because because we were very heavily based on the Paul Check Institute system of systems, which Jason explained it perfectly. That's like really the core of what Check gets you into is the system of systems, and that applies to everything. So if you look at tarot, when you said, "Hey, I'm just getting warmed up and I'm learning," it's because there's systems of systems that work in everything, and not everything is linear or up and down. Everything's like almost spiralar and circular in this like infinite movement. So I meet you, you're interested in that. And I'm like, all right, this would be a great fit because part of what we wanted to build were people that work there, but also were into self betterment and exploration. And I believe, if I remember, you were coming off a couple of health issues. I remember something with thyroid,
Hmm.
right? And you were like, I really want this job because I'm interested in also like a lot of the other health stuff. And to the credit, Jason and I talked about, to the credit of that company, some of the really awesome benefits were the CEO understood, the one CEO understood the self betterment of getting a coach. It was my concept to say make the sales and the support sales staff get coached by the coach staff. Let's start if we really want to. Let's start there. And then Jason and I had talked about how then we had other higher level coaches that we would go to like mess with our minds, and it was a great process. But I remember that was a big thing why we wanted to hire you. I definitely wanted you on my staff. One, you knew all the shit I didn't know, highly organized, very, but you had this desire that I could tell at an early meeting that, man, this girl, whether she works here or not, is going to be a tremendously different or a better person. Okay, so then I kind of kept up with certain people, a less than ceremonious leaving of the position that I was at. But I kind of watched you guys for a while and kept in touch. Then I saw you kind of working on some other accounts. You're doing, I guess, was like I would call it performance social media marketing or something. So you explained it to me this way is how I remember. It was kind of like you said something like, there's people that just post things and do things, but I think it was you. You're like, I'm kind of more like a race car driver where sometimes I might be shifting gears or changing lanes to make sure your ads are running properly. So I'm looking at the performance of your marketing. I know I'm probably butchering that analogy, but you were much more involved in the process of like, okay, if we're going to throw all these Facebook ads up or Google ads, you were much more analytical to be like, that one's not working, shift focus here. And I have very rarely found that professional quality. Like I'm still working with dipshits with social media. Like I am so disheartened to hear that you're not that girl anymore because I'm like, damn, find me someone like that because, everyone I've met with in the last 2 years of being down here are like, it's all just, anyway. So I've watched you. Then I see you getting more into the holistic. I see you visibly getting tremendous health. Like your face, all of this is so ultimately changing you. Your skin looks different. And this is, by the way, a woman who doesn't use filters or Snapchat or something like that. Like I could tell, also being a holistic coach, I'm like, man, she's doing something right. And I just always took it as you were really happy and you were healing. I had no idea you were this far over. I thought you were still like kind of full-time doing the social media marketing, and then now like moonlighting as like just part of your self-development. I had no idea you were really going this hard. So we're definitely going to do the reading, and we'll just see what, but so for those of you that are tuning in, Natalie and I talked about doing a tarot reading so people could watch it. So, like if you look at, so when I left the company we worked with, I bought a gym that's just, and it came with an Instagram account, and you want to talk about masculine, it's just, I think it's 70, it was like 80 something men. I got it down, but we're like 77% male. All very masculine MMA fighters is the best way to put it. Muay Thai, MMA, Jiu-Jitsu. So even the women that are on there, a lot of them are predominantly fighters or dating fighters. That's right. So when I started coaching at Bulldog, and I started bringing meditation, visualization, chakra balancing, neuroconnect, these things, the fighters were like, but when it worked, and I also would pitch it on the idea that, you guys are studying ancient modalities of combat. If you were studying this 2,000, 3,000 years ago, you'd be on a diet. You'd be meditating every day. You wouldn't be on, like, this is like Kung Fu comes from monks. This comes from, like, because I knew the history of it. So it was really fun to start bringing that back into fighting, but it's a very, like, I don't think a lot of people on this channel have ever experienced or taken tarot seriously. So part of this was bringing you aboard because I know you really well personally. I've watched your journey. I can vouch for like a really good person. This is not some bullshitter who's going to like, now I'm like, if you wanted to, you could drop all your tarot cards and go make a ton of money in social media that you're that good. And I don't even know what you do. You're just good at it. So for you to say, hey, I'm going to go all into this, I can say, hey, that, and then introduce to people that there's a lot of other different ways to look at self-growth and understand that health and fitness are not kind of the same. So where do I want to go with this? I didn't know I was going to talk more about your business and what you were doing, but now you're not doing it anymore. So, so what was so let's do this. What was the major shift? What was like, you're like, fuck this, I'm going tarot all the way. Like, I gotta, like, I'm done doing this. What was the ego death of the girl I knew?
Well, I really appreciate that, everything you said. It really means so much to me to just realize that there actually was someone who watched me all from the very beginning, who knew me as that person back then, and how I transitioned, the whole process, and who I am now. Mm-hmm. I think this is probably my first time introducing this version of me out in the public.
Oh, really?
Because I went MIA. I was busy doing shadow work.
Yeah, you were gone for a while off of social media.
But it's so nice to hear that you remember that person I was. I think I'm still there. The thing is, I'm at this point now where I'm trying to balance my masculine and my feminine. So when you met me, I would say I was toxically masculine.
So can you do me a favor, please, for the people out there? So this is something that is big in the MMA world because we have this with the Olympics going on, male, female, transgender. There's all this like fiery stuff going on, especially in my world of sports. And I try to explain to people my viewpoint on, like, you understand when I talk about femininity and masculinity, it's not in this like toxic version you're talking about. I'm talking about a divine aspect, right? So can you give everyone when you talk about masculine and feminine, so that we don't get people jumping on with, oh, women can be men and men can be, no. We're talking about a very ancient, more than philosophy, right? Like somewhere between philosophy and religion, of this divine masculine and feminine that supersedes a religion, whether it's Judaism or Muslim or like there's just something rooted in history that pervades every single culture of this duality of something that represents chaos and disorder and emotion and this other thing that represents this like ordering and control of it. So with that, can you give everyone what you feel is masculine and feminine from your viewpoint and your new experiences?
Okay. we have a I'm gonna go a little scientific here because I feel like your audience wants to kind of know this. So I studied all of this. I'm gonna see if I can articulate this.
Okay.
We have a brain. We have the left side and the right side. As we know, the right side is the feminine side, the creative, chaotic, like art, creativity. The left side is the masculine side, logical, order, doing. Femininity is relaxed, it's zen. So the problem here is, usually people are like, oh, I'm left brain, I'm right brain. That's when things are toxic, is because you were given a full brain. When you're either or, that's when things are like not balanced. So the benefits, like if you are operating from the left side of your brain, which this world is, a toxic masculine world. We're just forced into it.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna feel like there's something missing. You're gonna like you're lacking the feminine aspect, and we all have a brain, so we all have both masculine and feminine. In consciousness terms, the left brain is operated by the mind. That's why it's like logical, order, analytical. And then your feminine, the right brain is operated by the heart. A lot of people put the mind on a pedestal now. People want to be brainy, people want to make sense out of things, but then what we're lacking is heart consciousness, which is what is, happening in this world. A lot of people are like, I'm working a job that I'm not even, like, you're not working with love, like something's missing, right? So the feminine aspect is like, it's all about intuition. It's the heart is intuition. The heart is listening to yourself. They say do things from the heart, speak from the heart, sing from the heart, whatever, work from the heart. And that's where the imbalance is, this is what I had to realize up to the point of disease, that I was so toxically masculine. I was so left brain dominant. And I could see this in my physical body as well. You will develop like whatever you like, if you get an ailment, you got to observe is it on the right side of your body or on the left side of your body? Because your left brain is connected to the right side of your body, and your right brain is connected to the left side of your body. And so it's so crazy, because when I smile, I realize this. How like the face is supposed to be symmetrical? I realize this, right? Like whenever I smile, this wrinkle is deeper than this wrinkle.
It's not a wrinkle, crease. Stop it.
Yeah, whatever. Like, smile. And I realized, like, just because I've been observing my body, okay, it had to come to the point of like my hypothyroidism, my thyroid disease.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the type of person, when I care about something, I figure out a solution. And that's a bit of a masculine trait. I researched. I was like, I'm going to figure this out. Like, I am not okay with my health not being okay with me. And this is where I got into all of this. And there is a lot of science behind spirituality. There really is a lot of logic behind it all. The body connected to the mind, connected to your spiritual, to like, so there, do you know, like all your different astral bodies? So we have the physical body, we have the mental body, we have the energetic body, the astral body, the causal body. And so
causal body I haven't heard of, but I've heard of astral, I've heard of mind, I've heard of soul. What's causal?
Causal is the highest dimension. It's where you can perceive reality from a. This is where psychics they tap into this. So like if they've been meditating, they've been in their heart consciousness, and so you're familiar with the chakra system, obviously, right?
Yep.
The lower three chakras, which is closer to Earth, is your masculine chakras.
Yeah, you're
so that's related to your survival, to doing. The solar plexus, your confidence. The heart chakra is in the middle.
Okay.
The higher chakras are your spiritual chakras. So the higher three chakras are feminine. And so the higher chakras, it's expression, communication. The third eye, which is you see things beyond the veil. I see dead people. Your sixth sense, right? The third eye.
Yeah.
And then the crown chakra is I understand, right? The crown chakra is divinity. That's where you tap into other planes of consciousness. So other dimensions where psychics can start communicating with souls, dead souls, ascended masters. You can reach out to angels.
So have you started trying to prepare, practice, or attempt any of this? Like any type
100%. Yeah, that's what I do on a daily.
Okay, so okay, yeah, go ahead, take us through.
So the goal is with your lower three chakras, there's 7 chakras, right? In the physical body, there are so many more chakras that we're not aware of, like hundreds of chakras, energy centers. But the main energy centers in the physical body are the 7 chakras. The lower 3 chakras are the masculine chakras, masculine energy, which a lot of people are operating from. We have the middle, which is the heart chakra, and then we have the higher chakras, the spiritual chakras. If you are in your lower chakras, which is the masculine, and you are not tapping into your higher chakras, you're going to lack the benefits of the feminine, which is receiving, which is receptivity, which is creativity, which is, just wisdom from the divine. And if you are too active in your spiritual chakras, your higher chakras, then you're going to lack the benefits of the lower chakras. So you'll see a lot of broke spiritual people, a lot of, just broke psychics as well. So you're going to lack the material benefits, which the masculine side has. So the key to balance it is to unlock the heart chakra. That's in the middle. The heart chakra taps into both the top 3 and both the lower 3. So when you operate from the heart, that's why heart consciousness is so important. It unlocks so many things. And how this naturally happened for me, it was spontaneously. I did not. So I unlocked my heart chakra without attempting to unlock my heart chakra.
Okay.
And
how so?
Have you heard of Kundalini?
Yeah.
Or
I have, but I'm sure 99% of the people listening haven't.
Okay. So all of us were born with this dormant energy at the base of your spine. And the spine is, we have 33 vertebrae along the spine, right? And Jesus died when he was 33 years old. There's a lot of symbology, it's connected.
All the number 3 and the number 3, 6, and 9. Not to get deep.
Yeah, alchemical numbers. They're
you're going to find them in a lot of. That's why the 333 is an angel number. There's a lot of misinformed text about 666 and what that's really supposed to be versus right. But 3, 6, and 9. Interestingly enough, 3, 6, and 9 are your alchemical and transmutation and other sign type numbers. 2 is almost a fictional number. 2 is a number that doesn't really exist. It's kind of crazy.
2 is the number of union.
But
It's
what I'm
the
saying,
number of partnership.
okay, so in
Duality.
the mathematical world, though, there's a mathematical problem with number 2. It's I barely understand this concept, so it's hard for me to relate it. It was really well explained in the recent Joe Rogan podcast with Terrence Howard and Eric Weinstein. Eric Weinstein, who is a mathematical physics genius, like beyond Harvard, yeah, like genius. And he has like I always tell people, you want to feel stupid, there's this I don't care how smart you are. Listen to this podcast called The Portal, Portal, and it's Eric Weinstein. And he just brings on like pure geniuses. And they start talking like they're trying, like the one guy he brought in is halfway through disproving Einstein's theory of relativity. Like I can't even understand what the hell they're talking about, let alone the fact of following the guy in the argument of how he's disproving these things, right? But he brings in string theorists, so they get into some crazy deep physics. But there's a great conversation. I don't know if you saw this, but this was kind of blowing up a lot, that Terrence Howard had kind of disproven math. So before the Olympics and everything blew up, this was the trend on social media that was going around, was Terrence Howard had felt he disproved math. He wrote a letter to Neil deGrasse Tyson, who's very mainstream popular. deGrasse Tyson kind of like shoot him away and wrote him a letter that when I heard him read the letter, I was like, dude, if you're an intellectual, that's kind of insulting. But deGrasse Tyson played it off like, oh, I was being a nice guy. Well, Eric Weinstein comes on, he goes, and he was like, no, he was insulting you, Terrence, throughout that whole letter. Let me tell you what all of us at his intellectual level was hearing when he said this. So then he spends like almost 4 hours with Terrence Howard working through the math. And he's like, so with the respect to 3, 6, 9, and 2, there's an issue. So Terrence Howard thing is, 1 times 1, due to mathematical law, 1 times 1 cannot equal 1. Something multiplied by something can never be the same thing. And Weinstein tries to explain to him, well, you're kind of right and you're kind of wrong. He goes, we have acceptable flaws within mathematics to make it all work. One of those acceptable flaws is the number 2. And you don't see 2 is that. So what is 2? And it's like the binding number, right? Like the connection, because it fucking pulls all of math together.
Yeah.
So I've always found, like we said at the beginning, there's these weird scientific realities and laws. But if you just ignore the terminology, like when you say chakras, I can show you in biology and anatomy books where the chakras are these things called plexuses of the body. Plexuses of the body are just where certain things come together and a lot of like energy and force is dissipated. Well, that kind of matches if you're talking about a pool of energy of a throat, right? Like you're just taking different terminology to explain something. So when I used to sell holistic training and chakra balancing, I just told them we're balancing out your plexus of your body so your lymph and blood flows better. And they'd be like, and I'd get these old ass Irish cops from New York meditating, and I was like, no, we're just doing like visualization. We're just going to do some. They're like, well, don't do any of that holistic mumbo jumbo, John. I'm like, not a problem. We won't be doing anything holistic. We're just fixing your plexus. But that was, how we had to get around, giving people the right exercise program without having to argue with them about their limited beliefs, right? So explain a little bit more. What interested me before we got off the topic of the numbers was the conception, what you said in the idea that you unlocked your heart chakra unknowingly. So what were you trying to do? What were you doing? Was it, walk us through that. How did you unlock it without knowing? But there's people that spend a lot of time trying to unlock it unsuccessfully.
Yeah. So I was, when you met me, stressed out as fuck. Like I had a thyroid disorder. I had hypothyroidism, going through a breakup, fear of abandonment, living alone, just so fuck. And what awakens the Kundalini life force, and this is a life force energy that we all have at the base of our spine that's dormant, okay, and that many yogis, they practice Kundalini yoga, they practice yoga, they try to do whatever it takes to unlock this energy at the base of your spine, which is this just, it's like a vacuum. It's like a, once it's unlocked, um, it secretes this thing called Christ oil in the brain. And now it's the terminology for that is Christ consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
But really, there's so much science behind all of this. It's not.
It's working off the pineal gland.
Yeah, the pineal gland, the pineal gland, and the pituitary gland.
Pituitary pineal.
Yeah.
Pineal.
So it's this sacred. They call it's the sacred secretion.
Mm-hmm.
So they call it. You're basically anointed. How do I explain this? So anyway, it unlocked. I didn't know it. Like when people go through this, they experience it differently. For some people, it's really spastic. Like they get a seizure, they like go crazy, and you know.
Did you have a practitioner working on you? Were you practicing a certain type of meditation? Did you just have some very traumatic event and went home and it happened, or you were just having like?
Okay, so what happened was I was depressed.
Mm-hmm.
Severe trauma is what unlocks it sometimes, and when you pray to the divine, you know, when you call for hope, that's what I did. I also did a lot of yoga, which unlocks it as well. I meditated a lot, which unlocks it as well. And I was just doing this just because I was like, I'm gonna fix my life, like I'm gonna recover from this breakup. And then I also got into psychedelics, which just like amplifies it even more. Yeah.
Do you mind sharing what you because I just did an episode with Mike Mannion, and one of the charities we're involved with is we help raise the money through this apparel company called Mental Joe. If you're listening, mentaljoeapparel.com, and we pay 100% for veterans with PTSD trauma to go down to Arizona, and they work with this is actually done by the indigenous tribe of North America. It's on the border of the United States and Mexico. And they do a 2 to 3 day sweat lodge, a psilocybin journey, and then bofu. So it's a 5 day, but it's all run by the generational shaman of the indigenous people of that tribe. So it's wild. So he was sharing with us, you know, he got out of the military, PTSD, he was 300 pounds, joined a motorcycle gang, and he just happened to be on a ride with the motorcycle gang, and somebody mentioned to him, hey, you should try to take some mushrooms or something. And he goes, and that was the one trip that just, and then like within a month, he was moving out to Arizona. And then 3 years later, he founded this company called Healing Frontline Heroes, which now is an actual center where if you're a veteran, you just get your plane ticket, you fly down there, they cover your room, your board, your food, and the ceremony stuff. So so he was very open about sharing it. Do you mind sharing a little bit about what you did, what your process, like he did a 5 day, he wound up doing, I think it was a 3-week full ceremony living with the tribe and doing it. But they start people with like a 5 day standard, right? Do you mind sharing a little bit what the process was, or any of the psychedelics? Did you just go out and party at a rave? Right?
No. Well, yeah, kind of. Well, not really. I didn't start off like that.
Listen, I'm like Gen X, so we were the forerunners of bringing back psychedelics. We didn't do it the right way, but you know, the fun way. But you guys wouldn't be talking about it if we weren't partying with them. But go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What what was your process?
One thing just led to another. I really was not looking for it. Everything was spontaneous, like starting yoga, meditation, and then like getting my hands on some psychedelics. It was random. My grandma died when I was going through a breakup. I was alone for the first time in my life. I've never lived alone in a country where I'm alone, where I have no friends. My grandma died. I was going through some health problems. I was like suicidal. And so I had a friend who mentioned that he smokes weed. And I was like, I don't want to smoke anymore because I have this thyroid problem. I drank a lot. Like I drank so much alcohol, which probably made the thyroid worse. And I used
It
to
eats on your
smoke.
thyroid.
Yeah. So I didn't want to do the cigarettes anymore. So I reached out to him and I was like, uh, where do you get this weed thing? Like, can you hook me up? And then one thing just led to another. I experienced it. It was cool. And then I met some friends. I attracted some friends and they were also into it. So I started off Zen, but then it it became a little party
Party-ish.
vibes with my friends. And then I went to Thailand and it was just everywhere. And then mushrooms. I did mushrooms as well. And yeah, it was just random.
Random. Okay.
Mushrooms and weed. And
So that,
I was broken though. Like I was still figuring things out. I was still like getting symptoms. I was still like my biggest problem were relationship problems. Okay, that's the bane of my life. Relationship
what do
problems.
you mean by relationships? Relationships with family, romantic relationships,
All
romantic,
all
all,
I felt like
all
an
the above.
alien in this world. I was like,
You're
yeah.
not alone. We're just 7,000 miles away. It's
I feel
okay.
like yeah, we're attracting the aliens are coming together. We're coming together.
We're getting there. We're getting there. We,
Yeah.
but yeah.
But
So go ahead. Yeah, please. Go ahead.
yeah, no.
Oh, so go to shaving your head.
What was
I
what?
went go to shaving your head because I forgot. Like even when even though I
Okay,
followed you on the social media, because you were gone, I guess the pictures are updated. So now you have this like
shaved head.
super
Yeah.
cute cut now, like the swoop over. Like the picture I saw, you had almost like spiky hair, like your hair was just growing back
I didn't even cut this. This is still growing from the shave.
from the shave. So it was funny. I almost shaved mine the last 2 weekends. I almost shaved my head. I haven't cut my hair or my beard since I looked at it. I found a video of me doing when I my first attempt. I didn't realize to do a YouTube channel was 2018 because I was almost going to go back. Like radio was still kind of viable. We had an ESPN radio show, and they were like, "Hey, we might want you to come on this political." Like I was doing political radio because I was like really good at being in the middle. So like I could go on a liberal or Democratic based show and still hold my own, but make good points, but not And then but I'd go on like conservative ones and for I don't even know why I was getting picked for those because I was like a personal trainer and I had an ESPN fitness show, but they were like, no, we like the way you debate and art. So I was doing that. And I was like, maybe I'll do another show. And so 2018, I found thing me like my hair is just growing in and my beard's kind of all scraggly. So that was the last time I cut it. So I went to Israel. I cut it a little bit, but I went to Israel in 2020. And I remember it was like February 2020. I didn't cut my beard from February of 2020 when I left for Israel till I left to move to Jersey, February, March, April, May, June, July, August, July, 6 months. My beard was down here. It's crazy. But that was like my journey. I went and lived in Israel for like 4 weeks and backpacked, and an old friend became a spiritual guide. I went through a lot of unlocking for me then. And then it was like 6 or 7 months after I came back from Israel is when I met all of everybody at Whole and I started working with all you guys. And I was on a tear. But I'm trying to go back and think, oh, it was the hair. That's what I was talking about. So I don't want to tell you explain it. So the hair has symbolic meaning. It has. This is what I want to say before we switch over to the hair. So as a history major, I told you I like to look for things that kind of overlap. So Kundalini and comes from a lot of the Ayurvedic.
Yeah.
Well, so here's the interesting thing. I don't know how much. So let's see what
It's
we.
just a terminology. Like Kundalini is the Indian Eastern. People call it life force energy.
Well, so you have a matching philosophy and a recognition of what Kundalini is in the Far Eastern culture. It's known as Chi, life force energy.
Right.
Tai Chi, Qi Gong,
Yeah.
CHI, or QI. I do Tai Chi, and I've been for like 2 years, but I just do it in my leisure. But I'm working on getting my Qigong certification. I personally have always had a problem with meditating. I don't like it. I know that there's something in there I need to work on. But to me, I like Tai Chi and Qigong as my meditating. I need some type of movement.
Mm-hmm.
And it's kind of odd too. Like, I feel like when I play certain sports is my meditating. My brain just shuts off and I do things, and then like the play's over and they're like, dude, that was awesome. I'm like, I kind of barely remember what I did.
That's perfect. Yeah.
Exactly.
That's where you realize that time and space is an illusion, that like you get lost in time. Like
I'm not going to go as far as say as illusion. I want to have these talks with people. I'm not going to say an illusion. I think they're bendable principles.
My psychic friends will back me up with this.
I know. That's why I want to get more of those people on these conversations, because I always have these conversations that I get people.
It's crazy. It's talk of the crazy. Yeah.
Well, the other thing too is where we have, like you said, when we're not leading with the heart. So something I learned by doing more psychology study and getting into this guy, Jordan Peterson, was he had a saying I really liked, which was, well, if you have a debate, like if you're talking and having a debate or argument, it's like an argument comes from a place of trauma, hurt, fear, pain, anger, and you're trying to win. A debate should be two people at the opposite ends trying to find a common middle ground. No one should win.
Yeah, because if you really want to find a solution, you got to care enough about it, and that's the function of the heart. Is, people say love. Love is a lost term now. Like people don't even know what the meaning of love is anymore. But I feel like care, if you genuinely care about whatever you're trying to solve, like in the debate, that's when, yeah.
I'll challenge you a step further. I don't think you have to care. I think you have to go about the topic. All right. I don't have to care about the topic. What I have to care about is kind of, again, here's where everyone gets lost, is we don't have set definitions of the words we're using to describe things that are already hard to describe. Yeah. So in your, what I love Jason said, in your opinionated opinion of what, let's say, strength is, could be completely different opinionated opinion of mine of what strength is. Yeah. So when somebody says I'm healthy, right, it's like, are you? Like, what's your definition of health? So when you say love, one, it's a hard word to just define, and it is very somewhat subjective. So your ideas or my ideas. So now if we're trying to create a middle ground to come to a resolution, but your definitions are different than my definitions, it's not much different than two people speaking different languages trying to fucking not get into a fight. You're right. You're going to get. So what I tell people is, like, before I have discussions or debates, it's like, I don't have to care about you. I don't have to lead with my heart. I don't have to lead with my heart, and I don't have to care about the subject. I have to keep a principle in mind that to come to a new solution cannot be generated from the old mindset. So I can't, right? My mindset that identified the problem does not have the capabilities of creating the ultimate or optimal resolution. I need your mindset mixed with mine to come up with a brand new creation of an issue. What we have in our world today, whether you're leading with your heart or not, and see, that comes from a very logical side of my brain where I'm like, I don't care if you care or not. Like, it just makes sense. Everybody does better if we all come up with synergistic solutions. And I think a side effect of some synergistic solutions is a lot more empathy. So I have a very contrarian look. I don't want to lead with the heart, because I think leading with the heart in today's world is way too, people are too toxic. Right? Like, we don't even know what love is. So are you operating from your heart and love, or are you operating out of fear of loss? And you're misconstruing it with fear and compassion, right? Like, if you're, so like people say this, well, I'm going to like manifest this happening. Or I'm like, listen, it doesn't work that simply that way. Like, if we're going to prescribe to the notion that the body is harmonic, the body emits energy, absorbs energy, then it's no different than having a dirty, rusty tune fork versus having a clean new one. If your body is toxic and shitty inside, I don't know if you should be believing 100% in your gut at all times. The logic starts to displace.
That's why you got to have the balance of the logic side and your intuition, balance of the feminine and masculine. Yeah, definitely. But going back to your, what it takes to so I'm going to ask you this. in order to come to a solution to the debate,
Mhm.
you said to let go of your old mindset and to embody your new mindset.
Mhm.
But with in this world where everybody's operating from their ego,
Mhm.
what's it gonna take to genuinely let go of the old mindset? To be willing to let go of the old mindset?
Are you asking me personally, or what I think the world, like in general?
Yeah, general answer. Like, what's the solution? Like, what's it gonna take for somebody in a debate, or let's say two people who are operating from their ego mind, right? What's it gonna take for them to let go of their old mindset and
No, it's impossible. If they go into the conflict, the debate, rooted in the idea that I need to win, and I'm going to use all of my mindset to play chess with the person, versus taking the chessboard, throwing it out, and let's just saying, where can we go with this? It's the intention. That's why I said to you that if I tell people all the time, the reason I argue and debate so hard, and it seems like I'm stubborn in my old mindset, it's because I literally go into a debate hoping I am completely fucking wrong. But in order for me to accept being wrong, to trigger a new mindset, I need you to work with me to knock down all the pillars that I have incorrectly structured. And I'm willing to let those pillars fall, but you can't just tell me have faith and believe in it. I need you to walk me through it, because that is part of the essence of who I am. I like to understand and be integrated into things, right? So, but go ahead, I'm sorry. And so that's what I think it would take. It would take not
like I love that you want to come to a solution where you realize where you're wrong. So I feel like I'm doing a coaching session here.
do it.
Where do you come where do you come from? You sound so passionate that you want to find a solution, right? You want to find a solution to the problem. So where is that coming from?
So let me predefine one. I don't. When I was younger, I am a problem solver. I love solving problems. I love puzzles. I love brain teasers. I love them since I was a kid. If anybody said, "Hey, I can't figure this out," like even when I was a kid, I was like, I would run to do it. To me, solving problems gave me great joy. That was a very positive thing I carried with me throughout, which would be a much longer coaching session, through the traumas in my life. Savior complex, the traumas that I created, savior complexes and abandonment issues, my value as a man, especially going from, you understand, at my age at 47, I grew up in the 80s to 90s to, I've seen the evolution of what we used to call the Renaissance man, which is somebody who could explain physics, write a poem, and then whoop your ass in a fight. Like that was a Renaissance man. It was based off the Renaissance period of history, in which case we could speak, talk, but we also opened up the door for a lady, and we would whoop your ass if you talked slick. Like it was a beautiful time, and it was the end of what I believe manhood. Because when we started getting into this, I watched this like weird, like hyper masculinity, hyper femininity within men, and men just not finding their world. So and we all go through that. So me trying to find my place in that value of the world was always predicated on what problems could I solve and what things could I protect the people I love from. So it was very protector, problem solver, dominant. So I had two things that were going on in my life that generated that. One is a very positive thing, which is my brain is built on that side as a very masculine person that I love to fix things and I love to protect things I care about. I didn't start out as a protective person that would just jump to violence and protection.
You just said the key word there.
What's that?
You care about.
Well, yeah, but you can go a deeper level. Like, why do you care? Do you care because you have a fear of having?
Yeah. There. I mean, reasons.
Here's something I thought Jason said to me, and you'd appreciate, because he's like, he slipped into a coaching session with me, which is kind of what I want. I want other people that are watching this to see the people I bring on kind of do what they do, and if you can do it to me, which I'm very.
I don't do this though. I do tarot. Tarot
Yeah,
is my
we'll do tarot, but you mentioned coaching. Oh, here, so wait, so Jason said to me, I challenge the, I think he said validity or the nobility. He goes, I challenge the nobility of a cause rooted in a false belief. I challenge nobility. So that's where I said to you, like, well, yeah, you care, but we got to go a couple levels deeper on why are you caring? Is it fear motivated? Is it jealousy? Right? But I do agree with you. Like, so part of it is that. The other part of it is now, mind you, I don't always need to solve the problem. I very much spend a lot of my energy avoiding getting into the fucking problem in the first place. Because I do know that once you present me with the problem, I am the proverbial dog on the bone. I will solve that thing come hell or high water. Like, give you an idea, the whole issue, and without putting it all out there, but I left, like I said, not on the best terms from Hull, kind of just left in a flight. 6 months later, when I heard all the stuff that went down, I called that person and said, don't give up. I'll send you the stuff. You need to keep going with this. Like, I still was in the mindset I got to solve the problem of something I walked away from 8 months ago, because that was just my, like, I still would actually have random thoughts of, man, if she would only do this and that, because I just, in the back of my head, I'm always solving problems. So that's where it comes from for me. It's both, I think, positive and then both negative. But I also want to clarify that when I used to run at problems to solve them to create value, I now spend my time fucking avoiding them because, some things just aren't worth your time when you get older. You know what I mean? I'm a dad. I have a kid. I'd rather solve my son's problems versus having to have a 2-hour phone conference with why these guys need to not do this color on their marketing versus this. It's like, oh, you want to do that? Good.
Yeah.
But I also, that's my other thing too, is I think there's something within me that's based on the idea of, like, you got to get the job done. You got to complete the task. There's definitely some nature in that. There's some nurture in that. My father was an extremely disciplined person. Like, my father had a very strong rule. You start something, you finish it. You start it, you finish it. So it was like, if I started a sport, fine. I don't have, like, if I started playing football, that's fine. You can quit it when the season's over. Nowhere during it. Like, once it's over, then things like that. You join the chest, whatever. So that's where it came from me. But I also like I like solving problems. Like, I love bringing to the teeth.
Yeah, I would say my masculine side is your identical twin. when you mentioned you have a savior complex, I'm pretty much the same. I love solving problems too. But when I got into my feminine, I discovered the power of surrendering. I discovered the power of just, like, there's this paradox when you care about something too much, you notice, like, it never happens. It just never. And then when you're like, fuck it, suddenly it's something's working out, right? So
I had a lot of it's funny because I come off very deep in the masculine.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to guarantee you, if you start reading into me, I am way more rooted in the feminine.
Yeah.
Heavily rooted.
I think
I'm toxically feminine.
I think you're one of the people, like, I can name from my hands, like, who cares. Like, when you care, and that's why you go to the extent of solving problems. Yeah, it's a heart chakra.
Yeah, it is. It's tough. That's what I've had to, like.
When you care, like, everything
is amplified.
Is possible. Is possible.
And it's hard when you're, because then what happens is, like, I learned this with the Reiki and the energy, and the more I would base my value in solving problems, the more problematic people would come into my life. And that's why, like, my last relationship, even though I was at my oldest and the most experienced, and I came back from Israel, I was the most healed, the most complete man I'd been ever. And that relationship just ripped me to shreds. And because I tried to really, I thought I also was very rooted in my masculine. That relationship showed me how vulnerable I was because I had no understanding how much of my feminine was out there, how much of my caretaker, and how much I was addicted to chaos and the fucking drama and you know what I mean? Like it was just, I remember telling people, I've always been very disciplined. I've always been very strong-minded. The only time I've ever felt weak-minded was in that last dark relationship where it was like, man, I can almost understand what a drug addict, like when a drug addict, like, so I've worked with a lot of people with, not a lot, but a good amount of people with addiction issues. And you start to realize that it becomes this almost a chemical thing that they can't help themselves. And you feel empathy for someone who's trapped in their own body, who fucking would love so much not to be this addict. But there's just, it's impossible biochemically for them to stop whatever it is that they're doing.
Yeah.
And you start to see this in relationships. You see this in abuse cycles and so forth, right? But mine was the same way. I went through that when I left. Part of the reason I left Whole had to do with the fact I didn't have the right stabilized people around me. But I thought, not a problem. Not a problem. I've got a problem I can solve. I'm good, right? So that kind of entrenched me into more of like a, what do they call that? Not trauma response, not trauma addiction, trauma bond.
Mm,
yeah. So I trauma bonded with a young baby, and it just kind of like over amplified everything else. But yeah, I agree with you. But the other thing too is once I don't care, I don't care.
Yeah, yeah.
Once I'm done with you. Like there's no empathy, there's no sympathy, there's no, you know what I mean? Like
once and then it's like the energy just.
Well, because here's how people understand me. I care so much. I put so much of my heart, soul, and love into someone when I believe in them that I know I'm giving you 150. And if this doesn't work, bada fangula, I'm not giving you any more. Like if that doesn't work, you know, and that was the only time I didn't understand that lesson was that last, you know, relationship, which was, so then I had to go through my own growth phase of like, the fuck did I end up like, like out of body experience, like watching myself go through a horror movie. Like, what are you doing? You know? But yeah, so it's like, I said, I look at things a little bit different. Going back to the argument side, I do care a lot. But sometimes I can care more about getting to the resolution and less about how we got there. And that's where I can be a difficult manager. Well, I used to be very difficult when I was younger because the more I needed to get the job done, the more the empathy was shut off. Mm-hmm. It's like, I don't give a shit how you talk. Like we'd go into meetings when I was in my 20s, like, listen, you fucking retard. Why the fuck are you stupid? I don't know why. You're the asshole. And then we'd still walk out with like 15 sales and making money. We could just speak this horrible violence to each other, but we all were in that environment, especially in finance, where, okay, it's cool. We're not looking at the way you're speaking. It's like we all have a goal. I think I got it from sports too. Like if you're on a good sports team with a good coach, you're all about, I don't care if I'm a starter, I'm the third string. I don't care if I have to play a position I don't want to play. I don't care if I have to, whatever. It's like, I don't care if the kid I hate is my captain. I listen to him when we play the sport because we all have one goal. That goal is to get to this point, and we can't get there by ourselves. So I don't know why people in debates, especially intellectual debates, we have, to kind of wrap it all back in, is we've gotten to a point where everybody just wants to be right. Not right. They don't want to be right. They want their concept to be right. They don't want to be right. If everybody wanted to be right, right is in the middle somewhere.
Yeah, that's one thing I really like. Give me a second because the laptop's going low bat and.
Go ahead. Good. Let me pause.
Right here.
I'll take a pause. I'll get some calls. That's all right. I don't think we were in any type of linear thought process. We could just pick up. So, no problem. So, well, do you want to? Because we've been on a little bit now. We're almost at an hour. Do you want to take me through a tarot and we'll let everybody watch? How do you feel? I'm game.
Sure. Yeah.
You look nervous.
No.
No, you're good.
Yeah. So, do you want to do a general or a topic?
Well, I don't know.
Work life, health life, or just general, whatever comes up.
Let's see what comes
I got
up.
my decks here. You want to put on some sage? Because the energy, if I'm going to be honest with that I'm picking up is very stimulated.
Welcome.
The energy is adrenaline to the max.
And this is
So
me tired on no sleep. So welcome to my reality. Welcome to
yeah,
my matrix, Natalie. My matrix is fun. Hold on, let me see. I think I have some. If I had some white sage, but I don't even have my crystals. I'm gonna raw dog this one. Oh, get ready to send you some energy.
yeah. Before we start, permission to connect to your higher self, to your energy.
Please, I'm looking forward to it. Very well.
All
Can I ask you questions while you're doing this?
right, sure.
Who got you into tarot?
Okay. Again, it was spontaneous.
Okay.
I actually resisted it for the longest time. I did not want to do it. I didn't want anything. I was like, people are gonna think I'm crazy. But the Kundalini energy, when it unlocks, when your third eye unlocks,
Mhm.
you'll be. It's like you're on a curse. You're cursed. I don't know if you believe in like your spirit guides, higher self.
I do.
Guides.
I believe in almost everything. I just have these I've come to find very contrarian views on the same thing. Like if you ask me about religion, I think all religions are correct, and I think all religions are wrong.
Yeah, there's truth to everything. Yeah.
Okay, that's much more. Yeah, there's a little bit of truth, and there's a little bit of this, everything, and
Yeah.
But yeah, so but I have, just like I said, I have very different. Like for instance, I'm a guy who got into Reiki because I was looking at the laws of physics that matched. Nobody, I don't know. I've never met anybody else who's like, yeah, I got into Reiki because I was interested in physics. There's the type of people that get into more of that. That's why I don't fit in. Like as you saw, there were certain people at the company we work with who are high level Czech Institute practitioners, higher certifications than me. But and I just never and I love Paul Chek and I teach so much of his institute, but I've never fit in with those guys. And when we came down, I don't know if you remember, we came down, we had to like redo the nutritional component of like selling a quick fit model. It was my model that I was using for my other company, even though all these higher level Czechies, and I always said that like I can sell Czech better than Czech in a way, like, right. Like, so I'm very open to a lot of things. I just find that I always have this, like, I think the same thing as other people, but the reason that I got to that thought process is different. And sometimes when I explain that thought process, it insults people. That's why I don't mind. You say what you need to say. I don't think there's anything you're going to tell me I haven't heard before. Okay. And I'll tell you who read my tarot before. I think I had 2 other readings.
Yeah. So I was like really lonely one time, and then it's a boring story. Short story. Long story short, I was lonely. I was on YouTube, and then randomly, just this video was on my news feed, and it was a tarot video. And at this time, I was like, I don't care about tarot. Like I don't. But it was really, my intuition was like, it was like screaming at me. It was like, I don't know. I just, you just get this gut instinct. And yeah, I had some unanswered questions. I felt like everyone was lying. This is what happens when your third eye opens. It's like, I was not in a good relationship with my friends, my partner, family, work, everything. And when I watched this video for the first time in the longest time, I felt understood. I was like, holy fucking shit. This is a human being on the other side of the world who doesn't even know that I'm alive, who the fuck I am, telling me everything so accurately. And then I'm like, I was masculine. I need some logic to this.
Yeah.
So I started to research, and I started watching one video after the other. And then this is where I started to see a pattern. I was like, there's something to this, because like, why is it all real? Like, why is it resonating and stuff? And
too much sense.
Yeah, and I was just like trying to figure out the science behind it. Like, how does this? I needed to know the how. I needed to know. So I all the way to buying a deck for myself, because I got to see this for myself. Okay. So I learned tarot so that I can really see, like, is this real? Like, and yeah, and then I tested it even more on my siblings, and yeah, and then they were like, "You're a witch," but yeah, it's good. I'm not burned yet.
No. All right, let's witch me.
Okay.
Are you gonna be okay? I don't want to like over. I'm a lot.
You're a lot. Yeah, I can feel it in the energy. Like, I can feel the adrenaline. Really, I can.
And if I'm honest with you, I am in like the most exhausted, ready to quit type of. Like I was telling you, I've been working on that one project. It's coming up on a year. We launch in a few days. Like, I'm ready to just fall down and collapse. I'm so you can imagine when I'm like in my normal, like, I'm a lot to handle. But okay.
Okay. So can we take a deep breath just to clear the energy? Can we clear the energy? Spine straight. Take a deep breath. And exhale. Breathe in. Inhale. Exhale. Okay. So I'm just going to get the basics. Calling in spirit guides. Calling in angels. Please show me what I need to see for John. Please be with us. Guide me to deliver any messages for John's highest good. What do I need to see for John? What do I need to see for John? What do I need to see for John? Your energy. You are heavy. Your energy is heavy. All right, let's go. Spirit, what do I need to see for John? Thank you. What do I need to see for John? All right. There is something that you are, I don't know, your energy, there is resistance in your energy. I feel like you want to be open-minded. You're trying to be. We have the Hangman in reverse. We have Death, Two of Wands, Two of Pentacles, Four of Swords. Okay. There's something from your past that keeps going around in your head. And you have mixed energies about something. There is a soul connection here. I'm picking up a soul like a connection with someone. And it goes around and around in your head. You rest about it. You're like, you don't know what to do about it. To the point, I feel like you kind of are giving up, but you're also hopeful, but you're feeling the death of something. This feels to me like you're losing hope about something, about a connection. But you're in mixed energies. Like I feel like you need some answers, some solid answers to put it to rest. Can we clarify? Can we clarify death? You're in the middle of a transformation. You are in the your energy right now is you're planning, like you see the potential in something, but there's a dilemma. There's big dilemma in your energy. You see the potential of something. You see more of how it can't work versus the solutions. That's so funny how we were talking about solutions here. Yeah. Okay, let's see death. Let's see. Spirit, please show me death. Let's see why something might come to an end, why you might want to just change something entirely. But remember when I said like time and space is an illusion?
Mhm.
So you're in the midst of shifting timelines. So your reality is about to change. But this is the energy of this is right now. The deciding factor of that is it's in your hands, and right now, your mind can't make up its mind.
Mhm.
It's related to. I mean, there's something about your past, and let me see the past first, Spirit. Let me see the Six of Cups. What is the Six of Cups? I heard like and like there's this conflict that's Ten of Cups, strength. You care about this person, but you also wanna. I feel like the conflict, the debate here in your mind is: do I care about myself more, or do I care about this connection more? But you're leaning, you're giving up. I feel like you're giving up on something. What's death? What is death? You have strong convictions, like things have to be a certain way. Nine of Swords. And no matter what you do, it you can't control things is the reason why something is just inevitable. It's just your energy is coming to a point where, yeah, like I said at the start, like lost hope. The Emperor, we have the Emperor here. You can't do anything about it. But I feel like you've tried all angles. I feel like you think about it. You're even willing to heal. You're even willing to take some time, but like your willingness is definitely there. But circumstances are like it's more louder in your head that this is probably not meant for me. um Four of Cups in reverse. Yeah, there is a part of you that's like you're not a settler. It's not that you're a settler. Show me the Hanged Man. Show me. Spirit, show me the Hanged Man. there's something you're not willing to give or you can't give. 5 of Cups in reverse, King of Pentacles in reverse. It also might be related to finances.
Mhm.
5 of Cups in reverse. Show me one more. But you're also seeing the glimmer of hope. I feel like you're in the process of like weighing your pros and cons, and if this doesn't work out, there's still some good if it doesn't work out. Like I can nurture something else. And I feel like you want to start from scratch. I feel like that's starting from with yourself. The Queen of Pentacles, she's a feminine energy. She cares about nurturing herself, and it's not gonna be overnight. I think you're also in the process of your own shadow work. I mean, that's obvious. We both know that, but we do have
that was not obvious that I'm in my own shadow work.
Well, we have the Hermit here. The Hermit is he's a guy who looks within, so he does. You are self-reflecting a lot these days. In your quiet time, you're self-reflecting, but there's some noise in your head that can't be stopped. And it's this thing that's like that you're losing hope. Show me some more, Spirit, for John. Emperor in reverse. Okay.
You look stressed. Tell me about the chaos. Tell me. What's Emperor in reverse?
You're losing hope. Like, see, we got devotion, but it came reversed. There is a connection here that you deeply care about, or cared about. Circumstances are not allowing. You're losing hope. There's nothing you can do about it. And you're honestly, what I'm feeling right now is like you're like, I'm like, I don't know if I care enough about this anymore. Leadership in reverse. Like you had the potential in this. You had the potential to make it something. Like if you were allowed to take the reins, okay, if you had all say, this could have been something. But
where do you see it? My personal life or professional life, or is it just general?
Okay, what is this, Spirit?
Because I could actually, I mean, well, let me see what you say first, then I'll tell you where.
What is the Two of Wands? Spirit, what is the Two of Wands? Page of Cups. The Wheel of Fortune in reverse.
Everything's in reverse.
The Fool. This is related to your passion. It's related to I feel like it's more, I mean, there is an emotional level here. We have Page of Cups. It's related to, it's more yourself than your, I feel like it's the whole. It's the whole, like, spirituality. I'm trying not to be cheesy, but
Just say what you'd say.
I'm trying not to be cheesy, but it's your spirituality is trickling into everything. Your home life, your personal, your work life, everything. Finances is something here. And you want to be expressive when it comes to finances. You want to do the right thing. It's both. There's energies here of both a connection and it's connected. There's something. It's connected here. So why are you smiling?
I think that's part of my. I think that's a trauma response. Nowadays, everything's a fucking trauma response, right? But somebody said this to me. It was really. I took it as an odd compliment. I was working in a very toxic environment 6 months ago. I was getting attacked a lot, both physically and verbally, and I just was able to sidestep. Like people would have like try not to get too mogged into details, but I was battling a lot of people because I was just in a very toxic environment. So people would say things to bully somebody in a meeting, and I would just like, and then, I logically dismiss their argument. And even though these were adults, it would then turn into some type of personal attack or insult. And these were people that had been at the company 10 years, 15 years, and everybody was afraid of them. And that just, to me, the way I grew up, we explained earlier, like, I don't fear anything that breathes or bleeds. I just don't. It's a weird, sounds like toxic masculine, but it really has more to do with just what I'm okay with who I am. It's just fear is just something I don't operate out of that. So he said to me, he goes, it's like the more people attack you and the more they personally go after, he goes, you just get calmer and calmer. He goes, and then you just start, your brain just starts putting facts together. He goes, where those of us are sitting here listening to them go at you and we're like, oh my God, I don't know what I would ever say. You're already responding and ripping them apart and bringing up another. I was like, I think it's the product of my environment, really much being in that North New Jersey area. You verbally had to be able to hold your own. And if you allowed, like, don't get me wrong, there are subject matters where I have a bad temper and I enjoy a physical melee and I would get into a fight. But I could literally sit there with you and just either A, make you feel like king of the world, or I could belittle you down to almost wanting to jump off a bridge with my words. And the more you came at me, the more I would be like enjoying it. Like, oh, you want to go up a level? That means I get to go here. Oh, you want to attack me here? Oh, I get to go here. Oh, you didn't know I've got all this ready to go. And it also stems from the idea of wanting to solve a problem. Because if I have an argument with you, there's a problem present. We have a conflict. Well, I enjoy conflict in this. So when people start saying things to me that I feel maybe there's uncomfort or indecision because they don't want to tell me something, I kind of like, or if I know somebody's gearing up to attack me, I kind of get this. My ex-wife hated it. People call it the smirk. And I just smirk, like you're seeing. I'm like,
you're like, fuck it. Like,
I don't know. I don't know. I think, like I said, I that's a part of, like you said, the work I've been trying to do on myself personally is like, like somebody recognized that I had this strong trauma response, but the response was in a professional environment, handled very professionally. People were personally attacking me. You know what you're talking about? You're stupid. And I'm like, yeah, well, 1984, you know what I mean? Like, I'm like, I just don't get phased. And they're like, how do you, but if you tell me the New York Giants suck, I'll yell at you. Like, you could beat me into sports. I turn into a kid. But for some reason, when there's that survival mechanism kicking in, right? So when I feel like there's things you want to say, but it's like uncomfortable for you to say, or you want to take a more specific stance on what you're reading, but you don't know if you want to say it. and I feel like an uncomfortable